So the UK Competition and Markets Authority published their provisional findings on the Xbox Activision deal, and it doesn't look good for Xbox. Are the European government and the US government authorities going to follow suit? Does this mean that the wonderful envisioned Xbox Activision Blizzard deal is starting to unravel? Let me know your thoughts. We've got a opinion poll running in the chat, so let me know your thoughts. That's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to deep dive on that UK Competition and Markets Authority provisional finding about the potential Xbox and Activision Blizzard merger. Of course, we're going to have all the latest Xbox news, all the latest Xbox Game Pass games that arrived this week, and so much more. Remember, get involved in the chat. It is the Xbox Monday Night Chat. After all, you're the chat. This is the Xbox Monday Night Podcast. Let's roll the credits. Yokoso, arigato gozaimasu. Yes, it's the Xbox Monday Night Chat, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the weekly podcast, all things Xbox. Yeah, make sure you hit the likes because I like it. YouTube likes it. And it helps people like you find content like this, and also make sure that if you're new, hit the subscribe button and toggle that notification bell, and that way you'll know when I go live with this regular Xbox Monday Night Chat podcast where, as I said, we talk all things Xbox, and I like to hear your views on these things as well. Also, of course, let me know what games you've been playing, put it in the chat and all of that. Have you been playing Hogwarts? Of course, it's the big game, I guess, of the week, arguably. Certainly of last week. The big game release of last week is Harry Potter your thing? Have you delved into it? Have you purchased it? Let me know in the chat and all of that. I'm always interested to hear. As I say, we're going to be kicking off with the news. Then we're going to be doing a deep dive on this interesting provisional finding. So there we go. Let's have a look who's in the chat early doors. I always like to sort of shout out the people who are there first, yeah, at the door, knocking at the door. Someone's ringing the bell. Yeah, to quote Mr. McCartney, Sir Paul McCartney. Someone's knocking at the door. Someone's ringing the bell. Why don't you go down and let them in? Sednar is tuned in and listening. Here we go. Internet of Games, listening live. Marvellous. And Jay Smith, hello. Good to see you. Suarez, straight in there with the comments. I hope the deal goes through, especially as Sony have such a big market share. Might even things up, but I fear it may not go through. Well, that is the debate. What is the purpose of these provisional findings, if not, one thing to consider? This is the first sort of big provisional finding of a big competitions and market authority, albeit in the UK. But are they leading the way potentially to maybe give confidence for stuff like the EU to follow suit and the US government to follow suit? Is it going to have like a domino effect? Does it actually mean the end? Or are the UK and potentially Europe and the US sort of drawing a line in the sand to say, okay, if we, they made it very clear. It's a provisional finding. We want to see some changes or reassurances. So it could just be Xbox, you need to make some changes, some tweaks, so that we can say, yeah, we can sign it off and go, fine, we're happy with this. And we made Microsoft make changes, so we didn't just accept it at face value. So it's a sort of a win-win, the competitions and markets authorities around the world sort of say, we got them to change some things. And Xbox go, yeah, we abided by the rules, and they get what they want. So everybody walks away and all of that. Anyway, it'd be interesting to know your thoughts on all of that. Sednar's been playing Elden Ring, and I have to wait for Hogwarts, but it looks really good. I've heard a lot of good things about Hogwarts, actually. Not my cup of tea. I'm not a massive, Harry Potter's a bit... Yeah, I sort of missed that one, really. I remember going to see the first Harry Potter movie, actually, as invite, because I was working at Lego, and Lego had the Harry Potter minifigure license, and so we got early access to this. Some people got early access to the script before the movie came out. They had to go to Warner Brothers. I seem to remember they had to go to Warner Brothers and sit in the room and read it. I think I did that for Constantine movie, actually, when I worked for a games developer. We got to read the script before the film was released, because we were obviously making the developer I was working for had the license to Keanu Reeves' sort of Constantine, and we went to Warner Brothers in the UK offices to read the script. Because obviously they didn't want the script. They didn't want to send us the scripts, because that's how you get leaks and stuff. So you have to go to their office, sign a NDA, read the script in the office and stuff like that. Yeah, very kind of strict rules around that. But anyway, there you go. Little kind of useful bit of information I'm going to share with you there. Provisional finding, but I expect it to go through one way or another. Exactly. So now that is one perspective to take, I think, and one to consider, that this, as I said, is just the market authorities sort of saying, by saying we have genuine concerns, forcing Microsoft Xbox to address those concerns. But what could that mean? And we'll come to that later when we do a bit more of a deep dive. But anyway, lovely to see you in the chats, everybody. Don't forget to hit the likes. I see 3 likes and 10 views. So, do the maths, ladies and gentlemen. Do the math. Hit the likes. It's much appreciated. Let's get some news in. Slightly different news this time around, if I hit the right button. Because I'm going to sort of do it live, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, it's going to do it live. So a sort of summary of the news, because I put together a little summary of the news, if I can find it. Here we go. So here's the sort of these are just the headlines of the week, really. So obviously we've got the big one, of course. I'm going to say NBA. Madden. I was going to say NBA for a minute. Madden was released, of course, because of the Super Bowl, of course, into Games Pass as part of EA Play. There's a new controller coming out called Stellar Shift. And what you can do, if you get it, is you can match the background, because you can change the background of your user interface on Xbox. Of course, new releases this week see SpongeBob SquarePants land on the platform. As ever, great platforming game, highly recommended. And of course, Hogwarts was the big release last week, launching onto the platforms and stuff. As I said, let me know whether you've played it, whether it's your sort of thing. I've heard a lot of good things about it. Not my sort of thing, but genuinely people seem to be enjoying Hogwarts on the platform there. And then, of course, we've got other games. So the other thing here is new earbuds. So I've got some earbuds, but these are Razer Hammerhead Special Edition, specifically for Xbox. I think all it is they've just got the tone of green there, but perfect for on the go and stuff. Very similar to these ones that I've got here, but they're not Razers. These are HyperX ones. And of course, Hot Wheels Game of the Year edition comes to Games Pass as well. Absolutely had an absolute ball playing this on Stadia. Of course, the last big Stadia Game Pass release before Stadia went bye-bye, really, or announced their farewell. And also coming to Games Pass, which hadn't been featured before in my lists, is SD Gundam Battle Alliance. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll have a closer look at that. That's also coming to Games Pass this week. So SD Gundam Battle Alliance is going to be on PC, console, and in the cloud, ladies and gentlemen, also in the cloud. And Sword and Fairy Together Forever, for you Japanese RPG fans, has been announced that will be coming to Games Pass in July. So you've got to wait for this one, but it was just announced that this JRPG will be coming to Games Pass. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, a quick rundown summary of the news. And I just have a quick look at Gundam Alliance here. Calling all pilots, SD Gundam Battle Alliance comes to Xbox Game Pass. Get ready for intense multiplayer mechanized combat. SD Gundam Battle Alliance is now available. So it's available as of now on Xbox Game Pass for you to push your pilot skills to the next level. Do battle in this action RPG where you take control of various mobile suits from the Mobile Suit Gundam franchise. Play with AI or squad up with two of your friends to smash foes head on as you explore a brand new story featuring many familiar faces, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Gundam universe. Let's see a bit of the gameplay. There we go. So it's sort of, battle bots type thing going on there in a kind of fighting style game. Who doesn't like a bit of kind of giant robots battling it out? Fight alongside familiar faces from the series, the Gundam series. You get the idea there. Anyway, that's a closer look there. Available now. Xbox Game Pass. It's Play Anywhere. PC Game Pass. Xbox Game Pass. I'm just trying to think. I think I did say it was coming out on the cloud as well, didn't I? Anyway, so that is the SD Gundam Battle Alliance. So from Bandai Namco Entertainment America. So that wasn't in my previous list. So that's sort of a new thing landing straight into Games Pass for fans of that. And then just a quick look at this. This is the controller, the Stellar Shift Special Edition. Unique rubberized purple swirl grips. So it's kind of mix of sort of blue and purple there. Elevate your game. Get surreal. I hardly call it surreal. I think that's a misuse of the word surreal there. Get surreal with the Xbox Wireless Controller Stellar Shift Special Edition with hybrid D-pad featuring a color-shifting blue-purple shimmer and rubberized purple swirl grips. Use the Xbox Accessories app to remap buttons and create custom controller profiles. Quickly pair with play on and switch between devices, including console, PC, and mobile, of course. But also, you see the background here, this sort of starry night, stellar night background. You can set your Xbox UI with that background, which is quite cool if you're into that. And that's 60 quid for you, sir. 60 quid these are for you, if you're interested. Free shipping and hassle. There we go. Xbox Wireless Controller Stellar Shift Special Edition. So yeah, the releases this week basically as available as of today. Both, look, cloud, console, and PC. This was end of last week, SD Gundam Battle Alliance and Madden 23, as I mentioned earlier. Before we get into the meat, the meat of the show, which I see lots of people are talking there in the chat all about it. The team behind Xbox exclusive Shoulder of Giants wants to be included with Game Pass. It's definitely something we want, they say. So this is an indie developing, and in this interview here, I won't play the interview, but in the interview they mention how they really want to be on, as an indie, they really want the game to be on Games Pass. I think it's an exclusive to Xbox. So for them, it makes sense that as an indie that it comes to Game Pass. What I can say, this is a developer saying, it's definitely something that we want. A lot of people have asked us, is the game coming to Game Pass? When will it come to Game Pass? And my answer to them is, please tell this to Microsoft and hopefully it will happen. And just to give you an idea of what we're talking about. Oh, there we are, Harry Potter. Come on, ad. Ads are very long, aren't they, nowadays, ladies and gentlemen? Jesus. I can't get YouTube Pro. So here we are. So this basically is, again, it's a bit like, it's a sort of, again, you're riding, not in the robots, but on the robots, on the shoulders of giants. So it's the same, in a way, it's like the Gundam battle thing. Except rather than be in the robot, you're on the robot. And it's described as a third-person sci-fi roguelike designed to put your teamwork to the test. Players simultaneously control a sword-wielding robot and a gun-slinging space frog, of course. Fight your way through vibrant, punchy environments alone or with up to 3 friends. Shoulders of Giants is coming to Xbox One, Series S and X and PC on January the 26th. But they really want it, so it's available now, but they really want it to be part of Game Pass. So there we go. Make it happen. Let Microsoft know, as they say. And Call of Duty fans, which I am now, particularly the DMZ, there is a new Season 2 starting with some new features. So Season 2 of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone. You've got Resurgence returning, for those of you that know what that is coming. Looks like a Japanese environment there, like Kyoto or something. New DMZ missions, yes, because I have been playing I play Battlefield. I play Call of Duty Warzone DMZ so much at the moment. I'm finding it quite addictive. So great news that they're extending the map. Ranked multiplayer is being added. Map modes and more. There's a 6v6 map. This is interesting. So this features in this map. What's it called? Al Zamara. Yeah. So this map here, and it's got this airport. This airport features in, I want to call it Al Mazara. Anyway, the island there, which is meant to be a bit like Baghdad or something like that. This airport features in the DMZ game, but they're doing a full Battlefield mode. So if it's like Battlefield, I guess it's territory, sort of massive, loads and loads of players, both in different teams, trying to gain the advantage over different areas and win that area mode. So all set in the airport. It's quite a good location, actually. Infected, sort of zombie type thing going on. And for those that used to like the Gulag, the 1v1 Gulag returns. At the moment, I don't like the Gulag at the moment because you land there with if you're playing the main Warzone 2 game, for those that don't know, and you get shot, inevitably, you go to the Gulag. It's quite disturbing, actually, because they put like a muslin bag over your face, right? You know, like a Hessian bag type thing over your face, and they drag you off and throw you into the Gulag. It's you and a random versus two other randoms and the prison guard. So you've got to kill the randoms, and then, so, you know, with your buddy, you don't know who is a random, you got to kill the other two randoms, and then you got to kill the prison guard. Whereas before, it was just 1v1, mano a mano, yeah? You versus someone else, you kill them, you get out the Gulag. Nice and simple, yeah? So I kind of like that aspect of it. I don't like the prison guard one, because I get confused, because I kind of think, who do I go after first? Anyway, there you go. Not everyone is, you know, like people that get bored with Warzone, players who play it regularly. But I guess that's, if you play something relentlessly, that's true of many a game. And, you know, they try to update things and bring things online and a bit of variety and stuff. But you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You want to keep it, you know, familiar. Anyway, loads of free content update. Coming February the 15th, so later this week for Warzone fans. I know not everyone's a Warzone fan out there, but because I'm playing quite a lot of it at the moment, I'm talking about it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about it. Let's just shut that down a bit. Shut that down. Right. And before I do that, little quick summary, just to update everybody to know what's coming. So tomorrow on Xbox Game Pass sees Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord. Then Wednesday, Cities Skyline Remastered. Thursday, Shadow Warrior 3 Definitive Edition. And then that must be what, Monday? Atomic Heart, the big game, the first big AAA game, I think, for Game Pass. Or one of the big titles as part of the sort of their studios, Xbox first-party studios, or third-party studios, first-party studios. Atomic Heart. So it'll be interesting to see. This is a big first Game Pass title of the year, I would say. Arguably, new title. So that's coming next Monday, I think. What will be 14th? So Monday, Tuesday? Anyway, so that's a quick roundup of the Xbox Game Pass titles. Now, before I dive in to this, Microsoft Activision deal could harm UK gamers. Ouch. Let's see what you've been saying before we get there. Suarez says, will they consider Microsoft revenue stream versus Sony, or just their respective market share in the industry, as this gives two very different perspectives? Good point. As we dive into the provisional findings, you'll see what their focus is. Live news, yeah, exactly. That's because I just found a very quick way of editing down a summary of the news, and I just saw there wasn't a lot there, so I would just go through it and just have it in the background. Microsoft could offer Activision games to GFN to go this deal through. Now that, Duca Gabriel, is a very good idea, and I'll come to why that might be a very good idea, because let's just clear that. If we look here, so this is the press release from last week. Okay, Microsoft Activision deal so this press release is from the UK government, specifically the Competition and Markets Authority. Okay, and it is a provisional finding. A CMA investigation has provisionally concluded that Microsoft's proposed acquisition of Activision could result in higher prices, fewer choices, or less innovation for UK gamers. So just that first thing, higher prices, fewer choices, and less innovation, are basically the three key elements of any issue. It's the criteria basically for competition and markets authorities. Yeah. Will it impact on higher prices, fewer choices, and will it stifle innovation? Right. So if they've got a concern about anything, that they're your they're your three main tenants, as it were, ticked off from the CMA's perspective. They go on to say an in-depth independent investigation provisionally finds deal raises concerns about cloud and console gaming. Okay, so specifically cloud and console gaming. The Activision Blizzard deal is much more than just cloud and console, yeah? Because for Xbox, PC is massive, but of course Activision Blizzard also have the mobile publisher King, who have Candy Crush, and mobile is a massive potential growth market for Xbox. We know they're pushing for PC to have a PC platform, the PC library, Xbox Game Pass PC, and all of that. Yeah, obviously the consoles are given, but the real area of potential growth, and one of the things that makes the Activision Blizzard deal particularly interesting to Microsoft and Xbox, is King and Candy Crush. But they're not mentioned here. The concerns are console and cloud gaming, and I think it's that cloud gaming which is the biggest, I think, delivers the biggest concern to the Competition and Markets Authority. I think we'll also see potentially in the European government and the US authorities as well, especially since Stadia has folded. Now, you could argue Stadia didn't really have much of a market impact, but the point is, it was trying, it was trying, and it's gone away. And part of the reason it's gone away is it didn't get enough market share. And looking at that from the outside, you could sort of think, well, maybe that's because Xbox going into the cloud is too dominant. There were rumors at the time of Stadia shuttering its first-party studios, Stadia Games and Entertainment, was because they got scared by the fact that Xbox were entering the Activision Blizzard deal. It wasn't that alone. It was because they didn't hit their required target within the first year, but probably factoring in the fact that, a potential competitor in the cloud business was spending $70 billion. So that all feeds into this. The merger could make Microsoft even stronger in cloud gaming. This is a theme that keeps reoccurring. And so back to the point here of Duca saying, yeah, one solution maybe is to say, okay, we'll make sure the PC versions of the games are available on Steam and GeForce Now. Or even Xbox Game Pass PC, make it available on GeForce Now. They're different. They're not directly competing, oddly enough. Yes, they're both in the cloud business, but they're not directly. They're raison d'etre for being in the clouds. This is GeForce Now, and Xbox are slightly different. So you could see Xbox Game Pass PC being available on GeForce Now. That might help. I think that would be a win-win. I think it would help Xbox with their case in terms of the Competitions and Mergers authorities. And obviously it would benefit GFN. And it means that more people could play Xbox games on PC that perhaps can't play it. The deal could, so the merger could make Microsoft even stronger in cloud gaming, stifling competition in this growing market and harming UK gamers who cannot afford expensive consoles. The deal could also harm UK gamers by weakening the important rivalry between Xbox and PlayStation. I think that's the weaker of the arguments. Yeah? Out of those three, impact on cloud gaming, impact on the consoles, and impact on the rivalry between Xbox and PlayStation, I think that's the weaker of those three, because PlayStation sells significantly more consoles than Xbox. PlayStation are the big daddy. PlayStation are the £800 gorilla in the room. Not Xbox, PlayStation. If anything, it levels the playing field, arguably, in my opinion. The CMA investigation has provisionally concluded that Microsoft's proposed acquisition could result in higher prices, fewer choices, or less innovation. Now, this is interesting here. Competition in the supply of cloud gaming services. I think this because we don't know what the potential of cloud gaming is yet. I say we, the industry doesn't yet know. It's in its early years. It's not in its nascent period, but it's in its early years. We've seen Google, crash and burn. Yeah, we've seen Google crash and burn. We're not seeing much obvious activity from PlayStation. I know they have it, but they don't sort of sell it. It's not in your face like it is with Xbox. Yeah, the cloud aspect, and of course we have GFN, and then you've got your boosteroids and your black nuts and everything else. Always, but the main thing is, when you think about cloud gaming now, you might have thought about Stadia, Xbox, GFN. Well, now it's just GFN. Really, I'd say just GFN and Xbox, and maybe PlayStation, like top of people's minds potentially. So this is really, I think, because people are unsure of where that market is, the fact that Xbox would seem to have a massive advantage because it has the ownership of these massive IP. It could make it difficult for any other entrants in the cloud gaming business to sort of get a grip in that marketplace, because Xbox have got, Call of Duty on Games Pass. And I mean, imagine. I mean, Call of Duty, the amount of people play that. If that went on Games Pass, imagine the impact on subscriptions. It's not just that title, but, The CMA provisionally found that being able to offer popular games will be important for cloud gaming providers to attract users as the market continues to grow and develop. The evidence available to the CMA currently indicates that Microsoft would find it commercially beneficial to make Activision's games exclusive to its own cloud gaming service. So we're not talking necessarily exclusive. We know Xbox have said, no, PlayStation will make the game available to, on your console. Why wouldn't we? We sell probably more, it sells more games on PlayStation, more copies on PlayStation than it does on Xbox. They'd be foolish not to keep selling it on PlayStation. It makes so much money. But they could make it exclusive cloud, or only available on other services under materially worse conditions. I.e., you can have it, but you have 1080p, 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second, or whatever. Microsoft already counts, and this is interesting, Microsoft already accounts for an estimated 60 to 70% of global cloud gaming services, and also has other important strengths in cloud gaming, from owning Xbox, the leading PC operating system Windows, and a global cloud in computer infrastructure, Azure and Xbox Cloud Gaming. So Microsoft own Windows, which most PC games are developed on. They own Azure, which is a cloud gaming platform, so they don't need to hire one in or rent one out. This is we know that they use a different version. We know they don't actually use Azure. They use something else, but it's basically built on the backbone of Azure. It's Microsoft owned and run. It's not like they're having to rent out other people's servers. That's the point. And they've got Xbox Game Pass, which they can put the games out on Xbox Cloud. So they already have a massive, massive advantage. So you can see in a growing market, and this is the thing, I think the Competition and Markets Authorities are concerned where there is a growing market, less concerned where there's an established market. There's still issues around, competition and mergers. We see it in this country when BT, British Telecom, joined up with EE and things like that, with a mobile, phone company. Would they have too much of a market share? All these kind of things. When you've got your landlines and your basically your broadband, the main broadband operator in the country, plus one of the major mobile operators in the country, are they too big? You get that. But for a new market, it's a genuine concern, because no market authority wants to be the one that turned a blind eye to it, and then years later go, well, how come Google, how come Chrome search has 90% share? And now, the US government and the EU are always trying to, bring Google down a peg or two, because by slowly and careful building and making it available for free and paying for it to be on, say, iPhone as your default browser and all this kind of stuff over time, and also being really good and better than all the competition, if we're really frank about it, Google Chrome has built a 90% market share. And it sort of happened behind everybody's backs. And now, the US government and the EU and everything are trying to, what can we do about it? And they're trying to fine it and, and find excuses to fine them and stuff like that, and saying they're using their power too much, or and all of this because it sort of happened in the background. So they're wary of tech and big tech deals like this. And they don't want to be the authorities that didn't do anything when they had the chance. And cloud gaming is the new market. And now the market emerges authorities around the world have a chance to address the first big merger in this emerging market. And I think that's what's happening here. So 60 to 70% global cloud gaming services. The CMA provisionally found that buying one of the world's most important game publishers would reinforce this strong position and substantially reduce the competition that Microsoft would otherwise face in the cloud gaming market in the UK. Yeah, in the UK, basically, the EU can just copy their homework in the EU. The US can just copy their homework in the US, in North America, This could alter the future of gaming, potentially harming, because cloud gaming is the future. This could alter the future of gaming, potentially harming UK gamers, particularly those who cannot afford or do not want to buy an expensive gaming console, of which cloud gaming offers an opportunity for people to play, as we know, AAA games without owning an expensive console or a gaming PC. And then it talks about, then he goes on to the console side of things, in particular Call of Duty. There are a small number of key games, including COD, Activision's flagship game. They play an important role in driving competition between consoles. The evidence available to CMA, i.e. Microsoft, come with counter evidence. The evidence available to the CMA, including data on how Microsoft measures the value of customers in the ordinary course of business, currently indicates that Microsoft would find it commercially beneficial to make Activision's games exclusive to its own consoles or only available on PlayStation under materially worse conditions. So Xbox gets the really shiny version, 120 frames per second and all that kind of stuff. PlayStation gets the less, 1080, 60 frames per second. Now, what is this based on, though? Yeah, because Xbox have said, no, we won't do that. We won't do that. Yeah, but the CMA have said, the provisional findings note that this strategy of buying game studios and making their content exclusive to Microsoft platforms has been used by Microsoft following several previous acquisitions of games studios, i.e. Bethesda. So the CMA is relying on the activities of Xbox previously, even though Xbox is saying, no, we will guarantee that this is available to PlayStation. Xbox and PlayStation compete closely with each other at present, and access to the most important content like Call of Duty is an important part of that competition. Reducing this competition between... Now, this is where I think it's slightly weaker. Reducing this competition between Microsoft and Sony could result in all gamers seeing higher prices. Competition is good, they say, yeah? Higher prices, reduced range, lower quality, and worse services in gaming consoles over time. Now, I think this is only true if we think that the advantage that PlayStation has over Xbox right now, in terms of the number of units that PlayStation sell compared to Xbox, which is significantly more, will truly be overtaken by the fact that Xbox has got Call of Duty. Now, I know Call of Duty is a popular game, but I can't see. If anything, that game will reduce that gap and improve competition. But I can't see what would have to happen is the swing to Xbox would have to be so significant for it to somehow undermine competition. We know PlayStation is up here in terms of units sold compared to Xbox. Are you telling me that making Call of Duty they're not going to do it, but making Call of Duty exclusive for Xbox would swing things so dramatically that Xbox would be so far out in front in terms of sales of consoles that suddenly the market is uncompetitive? No. Surely, if anything, it would reduce the gap to closer, thus forcing them to both be even more competitive. In my view, I cannot see... We're just talking about console sales. I cannot see the swing being so significant that it would make it uncompetitive in Xbox favor, given the current market position of Sony. It's estimated, so the independent panel of experts, it's been estimated there are around 45 million gamers in the UK, and people in the UK spend more on gaming than any other form of entertainment, including music, movies, TVs, and books. Strong competition between Xbox and PlayStation has defined console gaming over the last 20 years. Agree, absolutely. Exciting new developments in cloud gaming are giving gamers more choice. Yes, it is, absolutely. Our job is to make sure the UK gamers are not caught in the crossfire of global deals that, over time, could damage competition, result in higher prices, fewer choices, and less innovation. We have provisionally found that this may be the case. We have also today sent the companies an explanation of how our concerns might be resolved, inviting their views and any alternative proposals they wish to submit. So, as I said at the beginning, it is a provisional finding with a list of how Xbox might address those concerns. And then it gives the whole background there. Now, one of those ways of addressing the concerns, purple's in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Yay, let's go. We're doing this. I think was addressed in... Where is my... Yeah, in Games Industry Biz. Why Microsoft Activision's Blizzard deal shouldn't go through and why it will. So an interesting take here by Brendan Sinclair, managing editor of Games Industry Biz. This is, for those that are not aware, this is the industry magazine for the gaming for developers and publishers. This is your industry magazine. I used to get it when I worked in the games industry. Used to come to the office and read through it and stuff like that, and you get all the jobs. If you ever want a job in the gaming industry, get gamesindustry.biz, because in the back it used to have, I'm not even sure they publish an actual, you can tell how old I am, I'm not sure they actually publish an actual paper anymore. But anyway, if you want a job, this is the source to go to in the games industry. Anyway, it's over a year now, apparently, since Microsoft and Activision Blizzard officially become the worst, will they or won't they? Worse than Ross and Rachel. Anyway, it goes on here. So here we go. I don't personally think the deal should go through because I see the potential of Game Pass to become a Netflix of games. And we know how dominant Netflix was and is. I mean, Disney and Amazon have leveled, certainly Disney and Amazon have leveled the playing field a bit, but there was a time when Netflix was leading the way. I'm deeply skeptical that a Netflix, this is the managing editor's perspective, deeply skeptical that Netflix of games would be a good thing. I don't know. I like Netflix of games. It doesn't help that Microsoft is pushing for this. But one of the suggestions is, I'm trying to find it here, is that they basically, most of this is about Xbox Game Pass becoming the Netflix of games. Is one suggestion I think being made is that they sort of spin off an aspect of Activision Blizzard, i.e. Call of Duty. So often with these things, they say, okay, we'll agree to the merger, but that department, that area, you need to separate out and make it a separate company, not part of the overarching deal and stuff. And that's one of the suggestions. I can't see that particularly happening, really. Yeah, so it's here. As for Microsoft could address these concerns, the CMA suggested structural remedies like acquiring Activision Blizzard without the Activision division. So without the Activision division. Yeah. Just sell that or spin it off. Oh, and Blizzard 2 might be good to toss aside as well, just to be safe. So you're left with King, the mobile side. So, yeah, the CMA frowns on Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard, but it can grab the Candy Crush making King division to prop up its surprisingly small presence in mobile gaming. But all of this, as I said, is provisional because it's basically, it's the CMM, the Competition and Markets Authority, doing their job to say, look, we're not just accepting this blindly. We are asking difficult questions of Microsoft. We have put some potential remedies to them, and it's up to them to come back to suggest suitable remedies to this. And interesting here from a note to investors, WebDush analysts here insisted it's good actually. And they say here, so these are sort of financial analysts within the tech industry. We read today's release as a signal that the UK knows it has a losing legal argument. In our view, the FTC figured this out last year. So this is the FTC, Americans sort of trying to countersue Xbox, I think they're just sort of to show some muscle and authority. But rushed to file a suit to block the merger in the hopes of being the first to extract concessions from Microsoft. In America, the FTC suing them is the way that America does business. Like a threat to sue somebody is a kind of a weird way of negotiating. Yeah, you see it slightly less in other countries, but in America, it's just another form of negotiation. You sue me, I'll counter sue you, and it's all part of the overall negotiating process. And then you settle out of court, whatever, and you find a common ground. So the web analysts here are basically saying that the FTC, the American authorities, rushed into that suit, filing that suit to block the merger. We believe the CMA reached the same conclusion during its review and accelerated its formal objection to the deal and proposed remedies in order to step in front of the FTC and gain bragging rights. The FTC has yet to offer proposed remedies, and the CMA, by listing onerous structural remedies, has positioned itself to be the dragon slayer in action, which is what I'm saying. They all want to sort of show these governmental authorities want to show that they're not acting timidly in this massive tech merger, because we know politically people are concerned about big tech companies becoming too powerful, and the government's not, and saying, why didn't you do anything about it? Why didn't you act against Facebook? Why didn't you act against, Google earlier? Now they're too big. And so no governing authority wants to be the one that was asleep at the wheel when another big tech merger happens, and then 5 years later, Xbox is the dominant, platform, or certainly, and say cloud gaming is the dominant form, and Xbox basically own it, own that space. So here's a notice. So this is the notice of the some of the remedies. Yeah, so in deciding a remedy, the CMA shall in particular have regard the need to achieve a comprehensive solution as is reasonable and practicable to remedy the SLC and adverse effects. Possible remedies. Okay. So the possible remedies suggested, structural remedies, are more likely to deal with an SLC. Let's define an SLC. Substantial lessening of competition. Okay, SLC basically means a substantial lessening of competition. Okay. So solutions to reduce that concern that it will reduce competition, a substantial lessening of competition, are structural remedies, are more likely to deal. So basically splitting up Activision Blizzard and buying chunks of it rather than all of it. Yeah. So spinning out, say, Activision, or maybe, they go, maybe Microsoft, Activision go, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll spin out Call of Duty and put it in a separate holding company that's outside the main deal. And therefore, if that is the game of concern, if that's the because you don't mention any other, League of Legends or anything else, or Blizzard, you never mention Overwatch. Everything's about Call of Duty. So spin out the development and publishing of Call of Duty into a separate company that sits outside the Activision Blizzard deal. Is that a solution? And then you could say they've got to deal fairly with, arm's length, have an arm's length relationship with Xbox and deal fairly with PlayStation. So that's a structural remedy. Behavioral remedies are less likely to have an effect on the SLC, the lessening of competition, and its results in adverse effects, and are more likely to create significant costly distortions. So behavioral remedies are basically Xbox just saying, look, we'll enter into an agreement. Yeah, we'll behave in an honourable way. Honestly, trust us. And that's probably not going to be enough. I think that's indicating that just entering into a deal with PlayStation to promise them 10 years of unfettered access to Call of Duty is not going to be enough in the CMA's eyes. Structural remedies rarely require monitoring and enforcement once implemented. That is the point. If the company sits outside the Activision Blizzard deal, so you say Call of Duty, publishing and development side, sits outside the Activision Blizzard deal, you don't have to monitor that. If they say, no, we'll just enter an agreement and with Sony, and we'll guarantee them 10 years of Call of Duty, and that we guarantee we won't sort of put a better version of the game on Xbox. Yeah, they'll have the same version that we won't delay any updates for the Sony version. Yeah, we'll put it in a contract. That's all got to be tracked and monitored to make sure that Xbox and Microsoft are adhering to their contract to the letter, reporting on it. Yeah. And what the CMA is saying is that's not a very useful or effective way. Just behavioural. What we want is you to spin out the companies. The CMA will also consider whether a combination of measures, so they could mix and match, could achieve a comprehensive solution. For example, whether any behavioural remedies would be required in supporting role to safeguard the effectiveness of any structural remedies. So, at this stage, the CMA has identified the following possible structural remedies: requiring a partial divestiture of Activision Blizzard. So I'm just saying, i.e., this may be divestiture of the business associated with Call of Duty. That's what I'm saying. Stick Call of Duty, because that seems to be the thorn in the side. I think it undermines the arguments against the deal. As soon as you take Call of Duty out of the equation, I think those against the deal haven't got a leg to stand on. That may be the simplest solution, because it always comes back to Call of Duty, Call of Duty. I think that's the thing at the front. I still think cloud gaming is an issue, but at the moment, most of the focus seems to be an obsession with Call of Duty. Divestiture of the Activision segment of Activision Blizzard seems a bit heavy-hearted, which would include the business associated, heavy-handed, which would include the business associated with Call of Duty. Divestiture of Activision segment and the Blizzard segment of Activision, which would include the business associated with Call of Duty and World of Warcraft. And B, prohibition of the merger. Behavioural remedies would the CMA generally only. Okay, stop. CMA will only generally use behavioural remedies as the primary source of remedial action where divestiture is not possible. No. So this looks like, this is what the CMA look like they're really pushing for. Divestiture. At this stage, the CMA considers that certain divestitures and or prohibition are in principle feasible remedies in this case. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That seems to be, at the moment, the most obvious solution that would appease the UK's competition and market authorities. Divestiture of some part of Activision Blizzard. When I say some part, basically Call of Duty. So it'll be interesting to see what solution Microsoft come up with. They've been given a guide, a guideline, a roadmap potentially of a potential solution by CMA. It's clear Call of Duty is the issue. Yeah. So is it as simple as that? Will the EU follow suit? Will they find a similar, come up with a similar conclusion and similar suggestion, remedies? Will the FTC also find a similar solution or, a similar remedy? Is it just Call of Duty? That is the question, ladies and gentlemen. Yoshida's in the house. Space Invaders, we're there. It's quite ironic, the number of PlayStation exclusive games deals with publishers, yet they're complaining about Microsoft. There is a certain irony there, absolutely. What happened to keyboard and mouse and all the games you own coming to xCloud? Seems like MS hit the brakes for now on rolling this feature out. They're definitely pushing PC, but yeah. I can understand such regulatory scrutiny on something important like energy or transport, but we're talking about video games here, which is non-essential. Well, but the nature of the competition and markets, it applies to anything. Traditionally, it's energy and transport because they tend to be some of the largest businesses in the world. Yeah, and that's when it really impacts consumers. But it applies to any business. And we've seen it in tech. And, as pointed out there, one of the biggest income sources for the UK economy is entertainment. Yeah, is music and stuff like that. And creative arts. One of the biggest industries in this country, export-wise. And equally, gaming is bigger in market value than film, TV, books, etc. in this country. As an entertainment form. It's the biggest form of entertainment. So it is significant. And, tech, we've seen it with Facebook buying WhatsApp and all this kind of Instagram. We've seen it, say, with Google. People, EU are saying, Google, you're too big. I was always like, EU just like a bunch of moaning minis really about Google in particular, because the reason I used to think the reason Google search is so popular is because it was so much better than anything else. And should you punish a company for being so much, for having real success and becoming the dominant thing? Now, one could argue that as they grew, some of their practices perhaps were less, competitive or anti-competitive. But we live in a capitalist world and competition is considered really important. Now, I'm not going to get into the debate about actually there's no, in certain areas, there's no real true competition. There's cabals and whatnot, but you get the point. Just because it's games, it's law, competition law. I remember studying competition law when I did my law degree. It's quite important. And EU law, it is important. What happens if the FTC approves the deal but the CMA bans it? Exactly. You cannot have a scenario where what? Where a global market where they just have to behave differently. We would lose out. The UK, you'd lose out. You wouldn't be able to play. Say the FTC approved it. Yeah, and it went. Call of Duty went on Games Pass, but CMA didn't for some reason. Then it would. I don't know how it would work. I can't think, but presumably what, we wouldn't get it. We wouldn't get Call of Duty on Games Pass. That's the only way. Yeah, exactly. What is the equivalent body in Japan, and what do they say about the deal? Interesting. Yoshida's in the house. Maybe she knows what the Japanese you can see I look at competitive eating there. Competition Authority. There we are. It's the Fair Trade Commission. Yeah. It's the Japanese Fair Trade Commission. Competition Authority. The JFTC is an independent administrative commission consisting of the chairman and 4 commissioners. They are appointed from among experts in law or economics by the Prime Minister. Yeah, now they're going to have a slightly biased approach to it because obviously Sony is a Japanese company with a significant contribution to the Japanese economy. That is the nature of native deals. So it'll be interesting to see. It will be interesting to see. But there we go. We learned something. The Japanese FTC, Japanese Competition Authority. That's what it's called. Okay, well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There's one last thing I want to share, if I've got it here. There we go. Yoshida's spoken. The same applies as other capitalistic country in favour to Japanese companies. Yeah, it's true. I mean, you know. Where is my last little piece of the funny bit of news? I'll find it here. I'll look it up. Now, to all the Minecraft fans out there, ladies and gentlemen, you know what you're missing in your life? Do you know what's missing in your life? I'm going to leave you with this. Not that. I'm not leaving you with that. We've done that this week. Get rid of that. Crocs. Minecraft Crocs. That's what you need. That's what's missing in your life, ladies and gentlemen. Minecraft Crocs. I expect you all to be parading out. Oh, look at that. I like that sandal thing there. Parading out in your Minecraft Crocs on the beach this summer. But there we go. Condora says, so it's more about politics than being of value to the average gamer. Well, they would argue, Competition Market Authority around the world would argue that they are fighting for the consumer, so the consumer doesn't lose out by one company having too much power and thus stifling innovation, which is the accusation always leveled at Google and Google search. Yeah, it stifles innovation in the search arena. Really? Like, yeah, but they're so good at it. Although that could change with the new integration of ChatGTP into Bing. Google are panicking because for the first time, they've got 90% share. For the first time, they're facing a potential existential crisis in search. For the first time. Bing's always been a joke when it comes to search. It's been a joke. But the integration of ChatGTP, the way they've integrated it into Bing, is really exciting. And at the moment, we know Google has the technology to do the same, but at the moment they're rushing to kind of reassure the marketplace that, no, well, we've got it, that they're stumbling and falling over themselves. If anybody saw the Microsoft Bing presentation, which was pretty good, very interesting, very powerful, compared to the Google Bard rushed, sort of tacked on 15 minutes presentation at some random Paris announcement, it was cringe. A woman was demonstrating for Google at this Paris event. If you've seen it, it's cringe. She was demonstrating this new thing in search or whatever, and how you could use your phone. And she had it all on the presentation. You can use your phone. And then she said, so let's see what this looks like live. I'm going to demonstrate now on my Google Pixel what this looks like now, live. Oh, I don't have my phone. Oh, we don't have a phone. Oh, well, let's just move on then. Like this was Google trying to sort of get out quickly to counter any concern about Bing and its integration of, ChatGTP and its search engine. And they absolutely messed it up with a tepid, rushed, ill thought out presentation and looked stupid. Anyway, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. This suggests we don't think it will impact the deal. Oh, yeah, 50-50. Let's have a look at the poll. Let's end it. Yeah. Oh, well, look, I think the deal will go through, right? This is just about the authorities looking like they're doing their job and Microsoft making some concessions so that the authorities can go, see, we've got these concessions. We did our job. We got these concessions. And Microsoft said, we listened to what you had to say and we've made concessions. Now will you, let the thing go through? That was what will happen. I ordered mine already. Oh, your Crocs. Protect the consumer. That's the idea. Law of protection, identity of their country and benefit as a country. I don't want the chlorinated chicken of games. Thank you very much. No, I don't want chlorinated chicken. That's what we we'll have. Anyway, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being on this ride. I told you we were going to go in depth into it. I hope it explained a few things, enlightened you, informed, educated, and entertained, and all of that. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. If you want to talk all things Xbox, I shall be back here, same time, same place next week. We'll be talking more on the Xbox Monday Night Chat. And of course, you're more than welcome to join me on Thursday as we talk all things GeForce Now. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. And I shall see you anon. Matinee. Sayonara.